Can you believe Matt and I spent a measly $1 each on a day trip to the Bay Islands from Brisbane? In this video, I'll show you how you can do it too. Hi travellers, I'm Chris, and as a local to Brisbane, I'm shocked that I haven't actually done this before. So I have to thank one of my lovely subscribers who commented on a prior video suggesting that we give it a go. While the Bay Islands are not as pretty as somewhere like Moreton or Straddie, they're still worth it for the budget-friendly cost, get you out of the house and a way to explore the local area. So let's get into the details. The ferry terminal and Redland Bay Marina is located at Redland Bay. Coming from the north, this will lead into Hamilton Street and cross over Banana Street, or coming from the south, Messina Street into Banana Street. Either way, it will lead you into a rather large car park. However, please don't confuse this with the car and private transport to the same islands close by, as these can cost more. I find it best to drive my own car to the marina, and there is heaps of parking, which luckily is free. But the car park can get pretty packed with daily commuters and you might need to walk a bit. Your alternative is using public transport, and the bus drop-off point is right beside the ferry terminal. You can use bus numbers 280, 282 from the south or 250 from the north or the city. More than likely you'll need to connect to different bus services to get you there. If you need help understanding the Brisbane public transport and the Go Card system, I'll link another video in the description below. The Redland Bay Ferry will leave every 15 to 30 minutes in the mornings and afternoons. They stretch out a bit in the middle of the day, but still pretty frequent. You can use the same Brisbane Public Transport TransLink app to check times, or there are timetable boards printed at every ferry pier. But they start as early as 5 to 6 a.m. from the marina and can get as late as 8 to 11 p.m. This all depends on whether you're travelling Monday to Friday or on the weekends. The best part, this doesn't need to be booked in advance, so you can randomly go when the weather is good or you have some spare time. It is called the SMBI Ferry, or the Southern Moreton Bay Island Ferry. You can simply use the tap on and tap off system with your Go Card or your smart ticketing device as an adult fare as you walk on and off the ferry. You have storage areas for large bags, and I did see some restrictions for larger items, but if you're running on a day trip like us, then you shouldn't have any issues. You're also inside the bay, so waves are pretty minimal, and it took us about 15 minutes to get to our first island, Karragarra. So this was our first stop for the day. Now, the reason why it's so cheap has to do with the 50-cent Brisbane public transport fares that were bought in at the end of last year. More importantly, since this ferry runs between the 4 Bay Islands of Karragarra, Macleay, Lamb and Russell Island, you only need to tap on and tap off when it's going to and from the mainland. This means swapping between the 4 islands is actually free. At least this is what the attendant told me. Karragarra was recommended to us as the best swimming area of the ones we'll be visiting today, and I have to agree that it was one of the nicest beaches out of them all. There is a netted area sectioned off, I'm presuming to protect you from the sharks in the bay, but also segregates the boat traffic and barges carrying vehicles to and from the island. Honestly, you could dip in the water anywhere along this beach, but it's a gradual walk into the water and not very deep. So there could be too much distance from the shore to get you into the deeper parts. If anything, I suggest if you're planning for a swimming day, try to get to Karragarra on a high tide for a deeper area for adults to swim in or stand up in. But know that kids can still swim in the shallow, sandy areas towards the edges. On our visit, the tide started going out and I was barely sitting on the sandy bottom in the water. Still, it's easy enough to cool off in the summer heat, or you could bring a snorkel and see what fish life you can see. There are only a couple of hundred people living on Karragarra Island itself, and it's 2.4 square kilometres in size. It's the smaller of the 3 islands we'll be visiting today. You can drive around other areas, but transporting your car will be an excess cost. Since we're walking around, there isn't much close to the pier here except the swimming or walking around the beach to check out the mangroves. But conveniently, there is a large barbecue area, picnic tables by the beach for a brilliant lunch spread, and septic pump toilets. Might also be handy to bring some insect repellent as we got a few bites outside of the water, but I think this depends on the season and weather. Unfortunately, a quick summer storm rushed over us too, so shortened our visit a little, but we were still chilling on the island for about an hour or so. After waiting for about 15 minutes, we jumped back on the ferry and whipped across the bay to the Macleay Island, which took about 5 minutes to cross. Macleay Island is the second largest of the Bay Islands, about 6.4 square kilometres in size, and has an estimated 3,500 people living there. It was still early in the morning, so Matt wanted a coffee fix. Luckily, the main area of the island is a 5-minute walk up the hill from the ferry terminal. Towards the left side is the local Spa grocery store, Copaz and Curly Cafe and coffee shop, and an Australian Post Centre. Since we were leaving lunch for our next island, Matt just picked up a coffee from here, but it looked like a lovely spot for a light meal. We also whipped into the post office to grab a Macleay Island sticker, which I'll turn into a magnet for my wall at home. After that, we crossed the road and passed the Macleay Island Hotel, which is an easy spot for a drive-through six-pack or head inside for a few drinks. However, for us, it was checking out the kitchen and purchasing one of their gelato ice creams. This was also what my subscriber recommended to us. Well, I must say it was well worth it too. I tried the mango and the hocus pocus flavours, and Matt picked up the chocolate. I wish I could have tried more, but I guess I'll have to leave that for next time. There were lots of people and cars coming and going, so it might be a good choice to bring a car or a scooter over for a day. I did see a shared vehicle picking people up from the ferries, so it might be handy to look into if you have further to go. Plus, you could bring over a push bike to get you around. Most Brisbane public transport will allow you to take this for free, pending available space. I'm sure there are other areas to explore on the island, but while we're only walking, we were all done in about an hour. However, if you wanted to hang out for a bit, there could be some fishing opportunities or an art gallery reopening in 2025. Back on the ferry and heading over to our next stop, Russell Island via Lamb Island. Now, we didn't stop at Lamb Island today as I couldn't see much to do there, but let me know in the comments if there's anything I need to check out next time. As for Russell Island, it's 30 square kilometres in size and close to 4,000 people live there. It's the biggest island of the three, and because of that, I'm sure there's probably heaps more to explore on the island, but didn't help us today without a car. We did see a ride share or taxi option at the ferry again, so that could help you if you have somewhere specific to go. About 5 minutes up the road, you have a small supermarket and shopping centre with the local IGA groceries. Cafe Memory Lane was in this area, and our lunch stop today, which had a variety of food to choose from. I ended up with a seafood platter, which was massive, with barramundi, calamaris, prawns and squid, and Matt had the chicken burger. They have a few items for an all-day breakfast and of course your coffee and light snacks or pastries. Both our meals were really delectable and we found it a lovely cafe to chill out for a bit. Apart from that, you have a few walking trails on the island, a conservation park for wildlife and especially birds, plus a couple of historical sites. You could easily spend some more time here, especially if you have a way of getting around. This is where the push bike could come in handy to bring with you, but I would trial this in an off-peak period to ensure you can get the push bike on board the ferry. Ultimately, to make the most of your day trip to the Bay Islands from Brisbane, my tips would be to check the ferry timetable in advance and plan your trip to ensure you have ample time to explore each island. This includes the internal times from island to island. Bring a hat, sunscreen and plenty of water, as the Queensland sun can be quite intense walking around, especially in the summer. Wear comfortable walking shoes, especially if you plan to explore the nature trails and historical sites. We were fine in thongs today, but we also didn't explore much past the island piers. Pack a picnic or snack to enjoy on the beach, but also take advantage of the island's culinary delights. After that, we were back on the ferry and making our way home. But with the affordable ferry service, swimming spots, foodie delights and welcoming community, you might want to consider a day trip to the Bay Islands from Brisbane for your next getaway. Alternatively, if you're looking for other things to do in Brisbane, please click for the video here. Thanks so much for watching today's edition, guys, and I will see you for the next one.